Well, once again, welcome to Minnesota United pre-season presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. The final Tucson tussle for the Loons comes in the shape of a champion. Open Cup winners Houston Dynamo, today's opponents. A side who, like the Loons, have hardly shown a static sense in adding in the off-season. Both have also kept a hold of their South American centerpieces, whilst Houston look to sparkle in the CONCACAF Champions League in several weeks. Minnesota look ahead to their own glistening crown jewel in Allianz Field. Expect a sprinkling of adjustments throughout for 30-minute quarters, a chance for both head coaches to really assess. Callum Williams, your commentator, and we'll go through the teams quickly, starting with Minnesota United. Bobby Shuttleworth starts in goal. A backline from right to left of Carter Manley, Iko Para, Brent Coleman and Francisco Calvo. The two holding midfielders in the centre of the park are Ozzy Alonso and Jan Gregush. Rasmus Schuler, Darwin Quintero and Miguel Ibarra, the three behind Angelo Rodriguez. For Houston Dynamo, it's Joe Willis in goal, AJ De La Garza at right back, Kiki Struna and Maynard Figueroa at centre-half, with DeMarcus Beasley at left-back. Juan David Cabezas and Matias Vera, the new Argentine midfielder, in for Houston Dynamo. Thomas Martinez just ahead of them. Maro Manotas leads the line, flanked by a pair of Honduran internationals in the shape of Albert Elise and Romel Kyoto. So both sides getting themselves set and ready to go. A fairly salubrious soccer setting in Tucson, Arizona. Dynamo, of course, in their traditional orange, the Loons in their grey attire. So here we go. The expectancy for both, once again, is to go one further. Can both turn an elusive and exclusive corner, with postseason football the one thing more than most that they crave and have an emphatic lust for. Here's Schuler. Down the line now for Angelo Rodriguez. Aliash Struna, the Slovenian international, with a first real taste of the big Colombian centre-forwards. Francisco Calvo with the throw. His first real meaningful pre-season action in club football. Thunder across. And there are no recipients from a Minnesota point of view. And of course the Loons coming off the back of a 0-0 draw here just several days ago against Phoenix Rising. Prior to that, they thumped FC Tucson by 9-2. Houston Dynamo, several internal scrimmages that have gone the first team's way. Here's AJ De La Garza into Albert Elise, the Honduran international. Spring in his step and is thwarted by Francisco Calvo. And Dynamo 10-16-8 last season, 9th in the Western Conference. 38 points on the board, just 10 points from the postseason. Open Cup winners for the first time as well, remember, beating Philadelphia Union in the final. Here's Struna. Vera. Maynard Figueroa. Lofted ball forward here to test Carter Manley. Kyoto. Miguel Ibarra on hand for Minnesota United on defensive duties. Switch of the play forces the Dynamo to retreat momentarily. Strewn out once again, the Slovenian. Touched inside by Elise, and now Martinez. Miguel Ibarra reading the pass all the way. Alonso. Last touch coming off of a Dynamo jersey. For those wondering, the man in the middle today, Malik Badawi, the referee. Here's Iko Para. Brent Coleman. Shuttleworth, who of course missed the last 3 games in the 2018 campaign due to back injury. Calvo, down the line, he goes. And the ball just trickles out of play. De La Garza, the 3-time MLS Cup champion with LA Galaxy. Struna, the former Palermo defender. Elise, clever first-time touch inside. Evading the challenge of Schüller. Maynard Figueroa. Added last week, the experienced Honduran. Kyoto returning the favour to Beasley down the left-hand side. Opara on hand. And Shuttleworth away. Quintero wriggling through. And perhaps an opening here for Minnesota United. Down the line he goes. Ibarra with a high hanging ball. Robust challenge from De La Garza. And Kyoto in a spot of bother. And a throwing now for Wilmer Cabrera's men. It was interesting several days ago, Wilmer Cabrera saying when you taste hardware and silverware, you want more. As we mentioned earlier on, the Dynamo winning the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. That means a berth into the CONCACAF Champions League, which they are preparing for as we speak. Started a week or 2 earlier than Minnesota United in terms of pre-season preparation. Their first competitive game only 2 weeks away at Club Deportivo Cuastotaya in Guatemala. Joe Willis taking no chances. And a flag up on the near side. Falls in favour of Minnesota. Alonso quickly to the feet of Quintero. A little too abrasive from the Colombian DP. Alonso thrusted forward now for Ibarra. Rodriguez. Stern challenge and the Colombian able to wriggle away. Jan Gregish. 3rd designated player in club history for Minnesota United. Here is the former FC Copenhagen man again, who is undone this time. And the Dynamo push forwards. Here's Albert Elise. And it's a block by Brent Coleman and behind for the first corner here of the evening. So plenty in Dynamo orange to aim for. Both Struna and the large figure of Figueroa forwards. And the header in the end is wayward from Figueroa. And behind for a Minnesota United goal kick. You're watching Minnesota United pre-season presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Goalless between the Loons and Houston so far. Alonso into the feet of the Finland international, Schüller, who was tripped. Purposeful pass forward by Calvo. Quintero unable to return the favour this time. So Aliash Struna, more commonly known as Kiki Struna, stands over the set piece, short for De La Garza. Elise. Many believe it is somewhat of a minor miracle that Albert Elise is still wearing the Dynamo jersey. Here's Quintero. And now Angelo Rodriguez took a nick on the way through. And the experienced head of DeMarcus Beasley able to clear away. Vera in midfield, beaten to it by the towering figure of Gregish. Martinez into his fellow Argentine Vera. Here is Beasley. Martinez. Alberto Elise up against Francisco Calvo. Elise with a deflected ball in. Easily dispatched by Gregish. Of course, plenty more pre-season action for Minnesota United. They travel to Orlando next week. Games against New England Revolution, New York City and Orlando City coming their way before they start the season away at Vancouver Whitecaps in early March. Martinez, twinkle-toed in midfield. Struna. Figueroa. And DeMarcus Beasley returning for his 6th Houston Dynamo season at the age of 36. Ball forward, had a little too much underneath it from Struna. 58 goals scored for Houston Dynamo last season. It was hardly an area they struggled in. 19 of them came courtesy of Mauro Manotas. Sprinkling of goals from Elise and Kyoto also aided the Dynamo. Here's Coleman. A wayward pass, both he and Coleman and Calvo not on the same page. Here's Quintero. Now in towards Rasmus Schuler. Decent ball across and well read by Joe Willis in goal for Houston. Four shutouts in what was one of his most active campaigns last season for Joe Willis, with 26 starts in MLS. Both he and Tyler Derrick once again will tussle for the #1 jersey. Vera. Mena Figueroa, of course, spent several years with FC Dallas. Sure that sentence won't want to be repeated too loudly in Houston. Elise getting the better of Calvo, and perhaps an opening for the Dynamo. Elise with the ball across, and Carter Manley duly dispatching. Corner. So Romel Kyoto, the man who will deliver over on the far side. Short for Beasley. High hanging ball in. Coleman away to the edge. Here's Quintero. Delicate ball to the left-hand side. Picked up well by Ibarra and continued on now for Schuler. Calvo. And AJ De La Garza taking no chances. Cushioned inside by Coleman. And Ozzy Alonso now taking centre stage for Minnesota United. 10 years with Seattle Sounders. 4 Open Cup winners' medals and MLS Cup winners' medal to his name as well in 2016. Schuler. O'Para in a touch of trouble. Well, for those of you joining us late, no real goalmouth action as it stands. We are playing 4 periods of 30 minutes here. Alonso into Kalman. Wayward pass inside, and Figueroa will gladly take it. Elements of patience from both sides in the opening 14 minutes here. Alonso. Quintero flicking inside now. Space here for Schuler. Screaming for it was Gregush. Manley down the line. Quintero looking to combine with Gregush, and no whistle blown in favour of Minnesota, much to the dismay of the tall midfielder. Figueroa. Short for Kyoto. Into a forest of loons' bodies. Cabezas. Kyoto. Forcing Manley out of position. Delicate ball over the top, and Iko Para is there to read it. Jan Gregush. Quick footwork by Alonso, and now Quintero can manoeuvre forwards. A free kick in favour of Adrian Heath's men. Quintero, the player, taken down. Set pieces, once again, something the Loons have been working on time after time after time during this pre-season. Alonso. Para's pass forward for Manley had a little too much behind it. DeMarcus Beasley into Maynard Figueroa. Alonso and Cabezas clashing in midfield. Calvo stepping up. Vera, the former San Lorenzo midfielder. Here's Martinez. Quintero pressing. And the Dynamo backline evading. Good work from Ibarra on the far side, though. Here's Jan Gregush. With he and Alonso expected to drop deep and protect the backline throughout the campaign. Quintero. Purposeful ball to the left-hand side now for Calvo. Calvo's ball in and steered away by the fingertips of Willis. Oh, no touch according to the linesman on the far side. Much to the annoyance of many in Minnesotan colours. Easily forced inside, Struner clearing away from the danger. Coleman tested and tripped on the way through. Calvo, of course, as we mentioned, was on international duty with Costa Rica over the last couple of weeks. Missed the 0-0 tie against Phoenix Rising and the 9-2 victory over FC Tucson. Did say to us during the week, though, he is in a clean bit of health and very much looking forward to the 2019 campaign, particularly the opening of Allianz Field. Sentence that is echoed throughout the state of Minnesota, no doubt. Ibarra. Darwin Quintero. Here's Albert Elise. Wayward pass from him. Dynamo quickly back in possession, and here they come down the left-hand side. Kyoto giving Manly a thing or two to think about. Kyoto's ball across, well dealt with by the young fullback Carter Manley, and again another corner here for Houston Dynamo. And again, if you are joining us late, 4 30-minute periods between these two teams here this evening. 10 minutes remaining of the first. Decent looking ball in and headed towards goal and wide of the left-hand post, and Albert Elise may very well have thought he should have done better. Albert Elise, no stranger to scoring goals, 11 last season for Houston Dynamo. Scrambled away by Gregush. Whistle blown in favour of Houston Dynamo. Only real chance coming through Albert Elise just moments ago, who was spry and aggressive in mid-flight. Martinez cleverly away from Schuler. Elise. Here's AJ De La Garza. Low ball in off of the heels of Calvo and into the grasp of Shuttleworth. Cohen. Of course, signed a new contract in the off-season with Minnesota United. Alonso. Long loitering ball forward for Miguel Ibarra. Rodriguez. His first real taste of the opposition he'll be facing this season in Major League Soccer. Tomas Martinez, delicate ball forwards. Quintero. Ball across, and wide of the intended target. Kyoto coming within a whisker. High hanging ball is begging to be headed towards goal. Mena Figueroa rising high again for Houston Dynamo. Very much like forward Madison, a sprinkling of players and coaches from Rio Grande Valley have spent a large portion of the pre-season with their respective parent clubs. Darryl Shaw and Jason Echeverry, head coaches of the USL affiliates, have had an opportunity to cast their eye over the last couple of weeks. Manotas and Kyoto. Cabezas. Touched back by De La Garza. Struna into Joe Willis and goal. Vera. Able to wriggle away at least for a moment or two, but young Gregus was right on the case of the Argentine. Well, clearly, Darwin Quintero annoying several in Dynamo colours. Will be a yellow card brandished out to Darwin Quintero. Schuler. Willis. Thumping away past the halfway line, and Iko Para will gladly meet it. Quintero straying offside. Schuler just clipping the ball away from AJ De La Garza. Rodriguez unable to shield. Figueroa's ball into the feet of Elise. Lovely takedown. Albert Elise. In the end, rather abrasive challenge from Jan Gregus leads to a free kick for Houston Dynamo. And all the praise will go to Albert Elise. Jan Gregus, so we're told, and as we saw there, never shy of backing out of a challenge. Said to us during the week he feels good. The partnership with Ozzy Alonso is coming along nicely. Now the Loons have some defending to do. It will be Martinez, and the wall does its job, just. Opara getting a piece of it. Opara thumping away. Elise inside. Straight into trouble. Too much for the referee's liking. So there we have the end of the opening 30-minute period here. Goalless between Houston Dynamo and Minnesota United. You are watching Minnesota United preseason presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Stay with us. The second instalment of 30 minutes will be coming up in the next 5 minutes or so. 0-0 so far. Well, welcome back to the Kino Sports Complex here in Tucson, Arizona. Goalless in the opening 30-minute period between Minnesota United and Houston Dynamo. Two adjustments for Houston during that little break. Tyler Derrick comes in goal in place of Joe Willis, and Chris Duval comes in at right back in place of AJ De La Garza. You're watching Minnesota United pre-season, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Callum Williams, your commentator. Several opportunities fell in favour of Houston Dynamo in the opening 30 minutes, mainly through the new central defender, Maynard Figueroa, from a set-piece opportunity, twice in fact. Alberto Elise has, unsurprisingly, been lively on the far wing as well. Down the line they go, and the first touch for Chris Duval. Iko Para clearing away, back into the danger zone, and again, Iko Para alert and able. Early corner now for Houston. It'll be Tomas Martinez, the player to take. Player who, of course, joined from Braga in Portugal. Decent looking ball in again. The header is won in mid-flight. This time it was Cabezas just heading wide of the fray. Miscue from Shuttleworth. Well, spirits are high in the Houston Dynamo camp. Of course, it was them who ended the hopes of LA Galaxy and their charge up the table on the final day of the regular season. Kyoto and two from Manotas ensured victory over LA Galaxy. Here's Carter Manley. Enjoyed a fruitful loan spell at Las Vegas Lights to end his campaign last year. Alonso. Space for Francisco Calvo. Gallivanting forward in a long and slightly tedious ball forwards. Ibarra's ball back in. It's much more aggressive and dangerous. And thumped away by Houston. Here's Brent Coleman. Iko Para, the $900,000 man. Gregish. Space now for Quintero. And Colombian surveys. Here's Miguel Ibarra. And now Carter Manley, a thunderous cross. Gregish back in. And really assertive piece of goalkeeping from Tyler Derrick. Elise. Able to get the better of Calvo. Para dealing with the imminent threat of Manotas, but again, Houston regain possession, and Elise will lash it towards goal, and a good save by Shuttleworth at the near post. Minnesota very much operating as architects of their own downfall on that particular passage of play. Bobby Shuttleworth has remained on the ground. Eventually climbs to his feet, the experienced goalkeeper. So a high hanging ball is easily dispatched, and it falls to the edge. And towards goal it goes, and over the bar. Romel Kyoto with 6 goals last season for Houston Dynamo, 12 assists in just 25 starts throughout the regular season. Here's Ibarra. Quintero. Oh! Well, we've seen that before, haven't we? Tyler Derrick had to be alert. And only just got a finger to it. Clearly, Tyler Derrick has been watching tape on Darwin Quintero. So Jan Gregish, the player standing over the ball. Plenty to aim for from a Minnesota point of view. Gregish thumped away by the head of Elise. And cleared away by Houston. Manly retreating. Alonso forward. Beasley. Alonso playing his part in the centre of midfield. High foot from Iko Para, who does raise his arm in apologetic fashion. Sprayed out to the right-hand side. Martinez. To Duval. He was a loon for all of 3 hours before moving on elsewhere. Kyoto forwards. Beasley across and steered to safety by Opara. Ball forward asking a question or two. In the end, it bounces comfortably for Shuttleworth. Schuler. Space in the centre of the park for Alonso. Coleman sees it. Rodriguez. Kyoto down the line as the orange bodies pile forwards. Kyoto and Coleman away. Well charged down by Cabezas. You'll feel that in the morning. Alonso short now for Ibarra. Quintero taking a tumble. And a free kick now for Minnesota. A little bit of afters. Not for the first time here this evening. Angelo Rodriguez seems to be the player involved. Francisco Calvo not happy either. Well, the referee really has to get a hold of this. Well, it is a red card. Francisco Calvo, the player who is departing. And during this period of pre-season, that is not what Adrian Heath and his coaching staff will want to see. Francisco Calvo clearly not happy. His evening ends prematurely. Does seem as though Chase Gasper is getting ready to come on for Minnesota United. who in the meantime have an opportunity through the set piece. So Gasper is allowed to come on. It is pre-season after all. So Jan Gregor's delicious ball across and back across, and in the end falling to Sheila. Gasper involved as well straight away, but in the end the flag was up on the near side. Well, clearly the referee didn't like what he saw from Francisco Calvo. Moments of rash, unsportsmanlike behaviour, perhaps. Nevertheless, Gasper coming in. Chase Gasper very much impressed in the goalless tie against Phoenix Rising several days ago. No doubt he'll get a workout against this Dynamo front line. Alonso. Thumped away by Gasper. So still goalless in the second period of the 4. Here's Duval. Brent Coleman. And all the way back to Bobby Shuttleworth. Very short indeed. Opara picking up the pieces. A clip of the heels from Quintero. Kyoto the guilty party this time. The yellow card. A rather feisty nature about this pre-season game between these two sides. Coleman. Iko Para, the former Sporting Kansas City defender. Ibarra. Clever work by Gregorish in midfield. Quintero. Unable to find a pathway through. Good defending by the Dynamo, who can now break. Here is Kyoto. Interrogating Iko Para. Well, in the end, it's a timely intervention from Iko Para. Another corner for Houston Dynamo. Corner whipped in. And Vera will charge down by Brent Coleman. Both Adrian Heath and Wilma Cabrera on the edge of their technical areas, dishing out instructions. Here's Beasley. Kyoto. Romel Kyoto. All it needed was a touch. Another corner beckons. The Dynamo go short. Kyoto easily gathered by Shuttleworth in goal. Gregush seeking a pass, and he'll find one in the shape of Alonso. Gasper. Picked up by Struna. And cleverly inside now for the Dynamo. Kyoto. Beasley. No stranger to success, of course. Won league titles in Holland and Scotland. Gasper getting the better of Elise. No foul given. Martinez. Elise. Lashed towards goal. And at the second time of asking, Bobby Shuttleworth is able to smother. Albert Elise playing the role of senior pest over on that far side. Quintero evading Cabezas. Rodriguez. And palmed up and away by Tyler Derrick in goal. Corner for Minnesota. So Jan Gregush, the Slovakian international, will trot over to the corner spot. It'll be him who delivers. It's again a plethora of options to aim for. Gregush, easily dispatched by Houston. The Loons can now have a second stab. Gregush, delicious ball in. And a pre-season miscue by Tyler Derrick. In the end, it goes behind for a corner. Jan Gregush will deliver this time from the opposite side. Gregush's ball in, Opara rising, and steered away once again by Houston. Schuler back across, Struna repelling. Jan Gregush, well read by Elise, who skips away from Opara. Can the Loons take advantage here? Gregush from range! It required a fantastic save from Derek. Well, there's the first real sight of what Jan Gregish can offer from range. Scored several from that type of distance over the years for FC Copenhagen. Can the Loons take advantage? As we said earlier, set pieces right at the top of the priority list in pre-season. They head out downwards. And Elise calmly away. Alonso. Purposeful pass into the feet of Quintero. Lovely first touch. Quintero, a high hanging ball. Really good piece of goalkeeping by Derek in goal. Figueroa. We had one or two chances of his own in the opening 30 minutes. Coleman. Para forced to go back to Shuttleworth. Manley. Combining with Miguel Ibarra. And in the end, Manley is taken down. Behind to Marcus Beasley. And a free kick. In a dangerous position for Minnesota. The Dynamo now slightly precarious. Again, they've been working on this in pre-season. The man at the near post was Miguel Ibarra. Another set-piece opportunity now for Minnesota. Gregish's ball in, steered away. Martinez. In the end, the player who is fouled. As we approach the remaining 6 minutes of the second period. 4 periods of 30 minutes here this evening, for those of you joining us late. No goals in the opening 2 thus far. Cabezas into trouble. Quintero unable to pick out a fellow Minnesotan player. Martinez, lovely angled ball forward, but the long legs of Iko Para there to play their part. Kyoto's ball to the back post. Quintero. Head down and into fifth gear. Rodriguez. Well, in the end, the chance comes to nothing. The attack started so promisingly for Minnesota. Vera in midfield. Down the line for Duval. Coleman on hand for Minnesota. Ibarra latching onto the loose ball. Ball forward now for Elise. And plenty of pre-season passages of play. There have been several moments of quality though from both sides. Neither yet to find the back of the net though. Struder illegally getting the better of Rodriguez according to the referee. Thus presenting perhaps one more opportunity for Minnesota. Well, both Gregush and Quintero standing over the set piece. Pick your poison with these particular two. Both more than capable from this type of range. It is Quintero. It's easy pickings for Tyler Derrick. Opara. Rodriguez unable to bring it forward. A clash in midfield as well. Straight away the referee stopping the play. Schuler seems to be okay. Rodriguez still on the ground though. Well, Angelo Rodriguez has always given just about everything. Four goals in 11 appearances after joining in the final third of the 2018 campaign. Did say he's extremely happy to be in Minnesota and playing in Major League Soccer. Feels as though he has plenty to offer. Gasper stepping up well. is Struna. Vera's purposeful ball over. Elise. Another clever ball from the Argentine Vera. Elise. Undoubtedly the deadliest of Dynamo players so far. Alonso now for Miguel Ibarra. So there we have the end of the second period. Well, it's been a robust and feisty 60 minutes of pre-season soccer. 60 minutes that has yet to result in the ball finding the back of the nets. Neither side yet to conjure up a goal despite the best efforts of several. But at half-time here at the Kino Sports Complex, it is Minnesota United 0, Houston Dynamo 0. 15 minutes now before the third period starts. Do join us. It's Minnesota United pre-season presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, welcome back. As you can see, substitutions aplenty. Minnesota, of course, Dean Sinclair is in goal. Back line of Dotson, Boxall, Olmsberg and Gasper. Anunga and Drew Connor alongside Colin Martin in the centre of midfield. Toyama and Romario Ibarra either side of Mason Toy up front. Long ball forwards here for Houston and scrambled away by Mason Toy. Dotson and Romario able to get the better of Houston over on the far side. Dane Sinclair, 7th pick. This year's draft will be the man taking the set piece. Oh, we know Tyler Derrick is, of course, in goal for Houston. Duval, Fuenmayor, Sam Jinkua, Kevin Garcia, Adam Lundqvist, all coming on. As well as Bonyek Garcia in the middle of the park. Marlon Hairston entering the fray as well, playing a little higher, just ahead of Chris Duval. Darwin Seren as well, the former Orlando City midfielder, worked under Adrian Heath for several years. Ronaldo Pena, the player leading the line for Houston. Here's Sinclair. Short for Anunga. One of the more intriguing signings in the off-season was Tommy McNamara, who enters the fray on the left-hand side for Houston Dynamo. Of course, several years at New York City FC, very much a player in need of a new lease of life. Here's Fuenmayor, the Venezuelan. Duval, turn the line away from Shiro Toyama. Here's Drew Connor, the former Chicago Fire midfielder. Connor, able to wriggle away from Pena and McNamara. Here's Hassani Dotson. Managed to have a little chat with Mark Watson yesterday afternoon, and Hassani Dotson, a player they've been very impressed with, not necessarily as a central midfielder, but used more primarily in the pre-season as a right-back. Here's Dane Sinclair. Youngster thumping forwards. One in mid-flight by Alejandro Fuenmayor. Colin Martin wriggling away from Tommy McNamara. Wyatt Olmsberg. Firm header by Duval. Sinclair going to his former college teammate Chase Gasper. Michael Boxall in his first pre-season action. Connor's ball forward for Toy to chase. So now Michael Nelson in goal for Houston Dynamo. Their third goalkeeper of the evening. St. Clair. Toyama only able to touch it out of play. Pena. Firm challenge from Connor in midfield. Romario Ibarra. Connor switching the play into the path of Chase Gasper. Misplaced pass from Anunga, the Cameroonian in midfield. 2 seasons with the Charleston Battery on his resume. Thumped away by Lundqvist. Olmsberg under pressure. Boxall's heavy touch. Not entirely convinced he'll be happy with the pass back from Olmsberg. Here's Boniek Garcia. As we said earlier on, I was able to spend some time with the Minnesota coaching staff yesterday. Recorded a podcast which will be available over the next week or so. Said the club is unrecognisable compared to the side that came into MLS in 2017. Ian Fuller as well identifying Ozzy Alonso as one of the very best he's ever played with and against. There is, no doubt about it, a sense of optimism with Minnesota United moving into the 2019 campaign. Of course, much of that circulated around Allianz Field. Here's Connor, evading Pena and McNamara in midfield. Sinclair with a long ball forward and met in mid-flight by Fuenmayor. Anunga. Here's Boxall. The New Zealand international surveying the scene for Minnesota. Awkward pass from Drew Connor. Here's Duval. Marlon Hairston, one of many new additionees for Houston Dynamo during the off-season. Here he is again inside. McNamara finds Seren. Toy dealt with well by Garcia. Here's Boniek Garcia. Lofted ball forward for Minnesota to deal with. Ball across for McNamara. Marlon Hairston's ball in. Steered away by Boxall and picked up by Colin Martin. Toy. Another player Minnesota United are expecting plenty of in this 2019 season. Lovely ball forward now. St. Clair backtracking. And it's lashed towards goal and easily dealt with by Dane St. Clair. Gasper down the line. Angled pass. Just about finds Mason Toy. Jiro Toyama. And Nungert in midfield. Romario Ibarra, the Ecuadorian international. Another player who has had an extended pre-season due to his international duties. Garcia cushioning inside. Seren. Boxall thumping high. Lundqvist underneath it. Jiro Toyama scored a hat-trick against FC Tucson. Forward now for Mason Toy to chase, and Toy towards goal and palmed away by Nelson in goal. Hassani Dotson backtracking. Minnesota will concede the corner. So the first real sight on goal for Minnesota United came through Mason Toy, stinging the palms of Michael Nelson in goal. And at the other end now, the Loons have some defensive work to do. Lundqvist. Another corner forthcoming for Houston Dynamo. Plenty in orange to aim for. In-swinging ball is easily dispatched by the head of Dotson. Now Boniek Garcia. Lovely slipped ball through, back across. Offside the verdict. Clever play on the edge of the penalty area though from Bonye Garcia. Using every ounce of experience, the 34-year-old. Coming back now for his 8th Dynamo season. Cluster of bodies in midfield and the Loons prevail. Here's Sinclair. Happy to take on the pressure. Here's Fuenmayor. Duval, quickly charged down by Toyama. Firm header away by Olmsberg. There's McNamara, looking to pick out Pena. Anunga. Chase Gasper. Space now for Jiro Toyama. And Romario Ibarra caught it, but couldn't direct it anywhere near goal. Sonny Dodson. Cheaply given away. Can Houston take advantage? Houston, former Colorado Rapids man. Memo Rodriguez. Houston taken down from behind. So again, for those of you joining us late, 4 periods of 30 minutes played tonight between these two teams. Midway through the 3rd period, we are yet to conjure a goal. McNamara. Lashed over to the far side, and Duval will get there and go back across goal. Pena looking for space, and eventually it is blocked by Chase Gasper. The decision has very much gone in favour of Minnesota United. And just off your screen, Mason Toy has come over for a quick word with Adrian Heath. Mason Toy carving out the best opportunity in this 3rd 30-minute period, testing the goalkeeper Michael Nelson. Toyama. Hiro Toyama dispatched by Hairston. Ormsberg. Clever work in midfield by Minnesota. The idea was right from Colin Martin. Another player who did say to me a day or two ago he knows just how big of a campaign 2019 is for him personally. Here comes Houston. Lundqvist down the left-hand side. And Peña's header. In the end, the direction not what the Venezuelan forward would have wanted. Martin. Romario Ibarra. Always clever return out wide. McNamara and Ormsberg rising from the back. Martin's ball in. Nelson gathering. McNamara's ball forwards. Hairston gets the better of Chase Gasper. And Hairston Marlon Hairston, not known for scoring goals in Major League Soccer. 7 MLS goals in 5 previous years for Colorado Rapids. One of them, ironically, coming against Minnesota, and 2 against Houston Dynamo. Make of that what you will. Garcia and Duval away. Michael Boxall. And Unga unable to return the favour for Romario Ibarra. Garcia forced to thump away. Not the tardiest of moments between Dalton and St. Clair. Toy. Corner needing half a yard. Gasper latching onto the end of it. Clever work by Dane Sinclair, but the Dynamo back in possession. Cleverly delivered ball forward by Boniek Garcia. It required that intervention from Wyatt Ormsberg. A throw deep in Minnesotan territory. Cristobal will be the player to come forward and take it. And the former Montreal man now looks for an option in orange. From one Garcia to another. Hairston. Memo Rodriguez, who can still a trick or two. Lundqvist. And Cristobal. Hairston. Unfortunate with the timely tumble, Marlon Hairston. And now Kevin Garcia. One of a handful of players brought up from Rio Grande Valley by Wilmer Cabrera when he got the Dynamo job. Gasper back into St. Clair. A little moment of uncertainty between the rookies. Pena looking to find a way through, as does Hairston. In the end, who is shepherded and well dealt with. And that was a real heart-in-mouth moment for the combination of Gasper and St. Clair. Welcome to the pros. St. Clair on the edge of his area. Spoke to the goalkeeping coach, Don Pascarella, yesterday, who told me at the moment he sees Dane St. Clair as being an exceptional college goalkeeper. Not quite ready for the pros just yet. He is a long-term project for the Loons, and one they're very much looking forward to developing. Here he is again. Short now for Drew Connor. Ibarra looking in much better shape than what he was at the tail end of the 2018 campaign. Giro Teama. Not for the one for trying. Opportunity now perhaps beckoning for Minnesota United. Giro Teama undergoing his second pre-season with Minnesota United. Florida Gulf Coast alumni. Can he deliver here? Toyama. And scrambled away by the Dynamo. And on the cusp of full time, at the end of the third period, we are yet to find goal. Mayor away. Martin. Stern challenge in midfield. And now this is Tommy McNamara. Memo Rodriguez. Space out wide. Lundqvist with the ball across. And offside is the verdict, and the chance dies down, as does the third period. And still, we are yet to find the back of the net. Several opportunities for both sides in that particular period. And you get the feeling both coaches will push for a winner in the next 30-minute period. As it stands, goalless between Houston Dynamo and Minnesota United. Stay with us. The last quarter coming up shortly. And once again, welcome back to the Kano Sports Complex for the final quarter. Yet to find a goal between these two sides. One adjustment for the Loons. Eric Miller on the ball now, comes in for Michael Boxall. Houston Dynamo using their fourth goalkeeper of the evening, Nico Corti, a Belgian goalkeeper registered to Rio Grande Valley, in the net for them for the final quarter. He may be tested out early here. The Dynamo remaining firm defensively. Miller inside, now looking for Mason Toy. Martin. Lundqvist. Here's McNamara. Switched over to the far side for Andrew Samuels. Player coming on in place of Chris Duval. Andrew Samuels, of course, a player drafted as 33rd pick this year. May very well be familiar with Dane St. Clair and Chase Gasper after 73 appearances in 4 years at the University of Maryland. Late challenge from Anunga. Seren goes short. There is Samuels. Garcia forced into action. Memo Rodriguez continuing to give chase. Drew Connor will tell you he had everything under control. Here's Hassani Dodson. Touched inside by Martin. Mario Ibarra off to the races here for Minnesota United. And he is swiftly dealt with. Lundqvist, the Swedish fullback, coming out on top of that particular situation. So Nico Corti opting to go short to Garcia. Garcia. Perfectly placed switch of the play, although the linesman has raised the flag over on the far side. So the final quarter of the 30-minute periods. Watching Minnesota United pre-season, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Callum Williams, your commentator. And a rather brisk and frigid evening in Tucson, Arizona. So perhaps another opportunity for Minnesota United now. Several of the cavalry have gone forward. Wyatt Ormsberg, Eric Miller, and several awaiting the service from Colin Martin. And it very nearly fell to the head of Chase Gasper. In the end, Wyatt Ormsberg, the player heading just wide of the intended target. Here's Garcia. Rodriguez, cleverly dispatched. Lundqvist. Dotson able to get a toe to it. Well, I was able to speak to several from Houston Dynamo over the last day or two, and the main focus for them has been the transition from defence to attack and getting the ball forward as quickly as possible to the ever so dangerous front three. Of course, Champions League duties for them in the not too distant future, down to Guatemala. Minnesota, of course, over the next week or so will be unveiling the New Jersey on Sunday at the Mall of America before heading off to Orlando and playing pre-season games against the likes of New England Revolution and NYCFC and Orlando City. Gasper under pressure. Foul in favour of Houston. So some defensive work to do for the Loons. Tommy McNamara standing over the set piece. Decent looking ball in. Miller will nod it out to Fuenmayor and hoisted high and behind. Eric Miller, a busy boy since coming on. And Rodriguez will be the player to deliver on the far side for Houston Dynamo. The header is met, and a right old scramble in the penalty area, eventually cleared. Here's Samuels, who returns the ball out wide. Defended diligently by Minnesota. So, of course, for all the latest on Minnesota United pre-season, you can download the new Minnesota United app. And of course, keep it right here on mnufc.com. Plenty of content coming your way over the course of the next few days. Gasper, confidently moving forward. Dotson. Romario Ibarra stopped in his tracks momentarily. Martin taking a tumble, and another free kick now for Minnesota. Wild swing from Anunga, and maybe Houston can take advantage of the gaps that are there to be exposed. Alert goalkeeping from Dane St. Clair. Gasper's ball forward, angled beautifully. The run from Mason Toy, just a little too aggressive. Well, whoever christened Chase Gasper as the most ready left back for Major League Soccer in the draft was right. As we said earlier on, the coaching staff are very impressed with him. There is the thought he could really push for first team minutes this season. Here's Darwin Seren. Kevin Garcia. Really well thrusted pass forward. Deflection falls kindly for Minnesota. Now Romario Ibarra. Rodriguez for Houston. And Miller for Minnesota. Here's Tommy McNamara. Houston looking for an outlet of some sorts. And the last touch coming off of the overlapping Samuels on the far side, and a goal kick for Minnesota. That has been a typically tedious pre-season game. Although I'm sure both coaching staffs will have gotten a lot from what they've seen. Particularly from some of the younger individuals as well. Sinclair forward. Seren evading Toyama. Notched forward and well dealt with by Olmsberg. Here's Memo Rodriguez. Dotson playing his parts, and Nunga helping out as well. Lundqvist keeping the ball in play. Getting the better of Dotson. Ball across. Gasper with a strong challenge. Referee thought about it for a moment or two. Nothing given. Now here's Bonyet Garcia as the Loons backline remain firm. Colin Martin. Able to get the better of McNamara. Romario Ibarra. Straight into a sea of orange. Hassani Dotson. Sinclair fabulously finding Chase Gasper. Does seem as though Jamil Neptune, trialist for Minnesota, who did ever so well against Phoenix Rising several days ago, will be coming on. He's dressed and ready. And Chase Gasper will depart. So a good outing for Chase Gasper. He receives a handshake from Adrian Heath. Jamil Neptune, player who was capped by Trinidad and Tobago back in April. Now entering the fray. Garcia into Darwin Seren. Garcia. Perhaps an opening for the Dynamo. Clipped away by Miller. Pena was loitering. Tussle on the far side, and Neptune gets his first real meaningful interaction of the game and prevails. Anunya into the path of Romario Ibarra. Mason Toy. Memo Rodriguez plucking the ball away from the feet of Toy. Down to the right-hand side and less towards goal and over. Has to go down as another decent opening for Houston Dynamo. And still, after nearly 2 hours, no side yet to break the deadlock. St. Clair forwards. Neptune forced to retreat. Wyatt Ormsberg on the ball. Toy pestering. Nibbling at the ankles of Andrew Samuels. Memo Rodriguez, thwarted by Hassani Dotson. Now Nico Corti, the Belgian goalkeeper, going short. Lofted forward for Houston. One in mid-flight by Ormsberg. Garcia, McNamara and Hairston all combining in midfield. Rodriguez running into trouble. Strong challenge from Drew Connor. Too strong for the referee. And Drew Connor will go into the referee's book. So again, there are plenty more than capable from this type of range. Again, this time of year, the opportunity to really work on these kind of things. Houston Dynamo, no different to most. Rodriguez and McNamara looking the most interested. So it will be Tommy McNamara, and easily gathered by Dane St. Clair. The youngster positioning himself well. Neptune. Ormsberg saw a pass in the shape of Romario Ibarra. Last touch coming off of the Ecuadorian winger. Lundqvist, the Swede, now looking for an outlet. We are going to have a deluge of adjustments for Houston Dynamo coming up shortly. Long ball forward. St. Clair comes a long way. It's Marlon Hairston who wastes the opportunity. And still we have no goal. So we have many substitutions coming your way. Looks of Kyle Adams, the New Zealand midfielder. Malik Foster and Eric Bird, as well as Eric McHugh. Brad Dunwell as well into midfield. The Dynamo will clear their lines. Here's Kyle Adams, boy from New Zealand. 3 years at San Diego State University before a move to Rio Grande Valley. Here he is again, Wilmer Cabrera, taking the opportunity to take a look at several players from the club known as RGV. Stabbed out wide. So throwing now for Houston. And one interesting note from the sprinkling of changes for Houston is David Cabrera, the son of Wilmer, has come on, wearing number 41. Attacking-minded player, playing right at the tip of the front line. McNamara. Chunkwa providing supports. Mario Ibarra. Here's Foster. Jamaican RGV player. And Sam Junkwa, the player drafted as 8th overall pick this year, also entering the fray as well. He'll have some work to do here up against Martin. Times the challenge very well. Martin down the line for Drew Connor. He was unable to find a pathway around Kyle Adams. Ormsberg just about getting the ball away from Marlon Hairston. Neptune short. Miller forced a step, and perhaps an opening here for Houston Dynamo. It's Foster, and still we are denied an opening goal. Well, there are many whose eyes would have widened when they saw Foster through on goal. Many more perhaps certain that the Dynamo would take the lead. In the end, it remains goalless with 5 minutes remaining. Chunkwa. Marlon Hairston's ball in. Dispatched well by Minnesota. Adams. Here's Neptune. Miller bringing the ball inside. Hairston across! And they've missed it. Well, time and time again, Houston Dynamo have carved a pathway through, but have been unable to finish. McNamara. Really good challenge from Neptune. Lofted ball forward now for Martin and Toy to chase. Chunkwa only clearing as far as Romario Ibarra. Romario Ibarra sees his effort easily gathered by Nico Corti in goal. It's a short pass. Adams forced into action. And Toy. Well gathered by Corte. Toy. Getting himself in behind. Corner looking for support. He'll find it in the shape of Dotson. Corti does take the ball out of play. There will be a corner late on here for Minnesota. In the end, it's a goal kick, the decision. So Corti lofting forwards. Is there one more opening for either side in the final minutes? Hairston gets half a yard on Dotson. Cabrera now, was he tripped? Referee says no. Martin, forward now for Mason Toy. Perhaps the last chance for Minnesota. Tight angle. It will be a corner. And as the bodies pile forwards, it really is now or never. high-hanging ball, which in the end trickles out harmlessly and may very well just sum up what we've seen here this evening. Well, no doubt about it, despite the obvious frustrations that we've seen from the players, the coaches will have gotten something from this evening. We had chances, we had plenty of ball in midfield, we even had a red card here this evening, but the one thing that we didn't have was a goal. You've been watching Minnesota United pre-season, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. It finishes here. Houston Dynamo 0, Minnesota United 0.